Good morning. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word. I'm Barry Bryson, and we're studying the book of Hosea as part of our larger study of the writing prophets to the Northern Kingdom. I really am not comfortable studying this the way we are in these little bite-sized portions because this is God spilling His guts, and I don't use that term lightly. Fran Lebowitz once said, spilling your guts is just as pleasant for the other person as it sounds. And she's right. This is ugly and it's awful. And there are so many mixed emotions. And in taking little slices of it, little bits of it, we don't get the full impact and we don't get the full range of emotions. And it's easy to read a few verses and just to see God as vindictive and punitive. And so that's my caveat. Verses 8 through 13, so important and really introduce some of the main themes of God's message of judgment. Um, Last time, at the beginning of chapter 2, verse 1, that very first portion, 1 through 7, God is speaking to the kids. Calls them good names, my people in mercy. Speak some sense to your mother, or I'm going to have to do what is my legal right to do. And that is to publicly shame her and to keep her from her lovers so that she will come to her senses and want to come back to me. Now, verse 8, she does not know that it was I who gave her the grain, the new wine, the oil, and lavished on her silver and gold, which they then used for Baal. Therefore I will take back my grain at harvest time, my new wine in its season. I will take away my wool and my flax, given to cover her nakedness, and I will uncover her lewdness in the sight of her lovers, and no one will rescue her out of my hand. I will put an end to all her gaiety, her feasts, her new moons, her Sabbaths, and her festal assemblies, and I will destroy her vines and fig trees, of which she said, these are my wages, which my lovers have given me, and I will make them a forest. And the beasts of the field will devour them, and I will punish her for the days of the Baals, when she used to offer sacrifices to them, and adorn herself with her earrings and jewelry, and follow her lovers, so that she forgot me, declares the Lord. Knowing and not knowing, remembering and not remembering, that's a central theme of the book. And to know doesn't just mean have cognizance. To know means to know intimately. It can mean to have sex, to have sexual relations. Adam knew his wife Eve and she bore him a son. It's used so many times that way in the Old Testament. That's why it's such an important word in this book, because it has such depth of meaning, so many layers of meaning. When he says she doesn't know that I was the one who gave her the grain, it doesn't mean that she's not cognizant of the fact. It means she doesn't appreciate it. She doesn't appreciate the fact that I'm the one. I gave her all these things and gave her more, gave her gold, and then she gave that to the Baals. I gave her these things, and then she spent them on her lovers, the things that I gave to her. So I'm going to take them back, and I'm going to expose her in front of all of her lovers, and nobody's going to save her from this moment when I expose her. I'm going to put an end to the way she's been acting. And God does. He absolutely does. When the Assyrians haul the northern kingdom into captivity, and when the Babylonians haul the southern kingdom into captivity, 100 plus years later, he puts an end to their idolatrous practices. He really does. And he's promising to do that. I will punish her for the days of the Baals, when she used to offer sacrifices to them. The whole notion of figs and wine, her vines and her fig trees. So there is the phrase repeated in the prophets, every man under his fig tree, every man under his vine, and no one to make him afraid. So the vine and the fig tree is the metaphor of hearth and home and security. Every man has his family, every man has provision, every man can provide for his own, and he's there secure in his own home. Vine and figs. It's also true that in ancient times, and there's reference to that here, wine, wine, and figs were traded for sexual favors, particularly in the temples with the temple prostitutes. And so they are the wages of harlotry as well. And so it's such a deep metaphor to use. You had hearth and home, and you traded them. You traded them for sex. And I'm going to put an end to this. Um, so that God is determined to put an end to this, and He will put an end to this. Um, I wish we could read on to verse 14, because after He puts an end to this, then He's going to woo her back, and we'll talk about that next time. Um, but that phrase, just one more thing before we leave. That phrase, she doesn't know I was the one who. Speaking of the nation and collectively, he uses that same notion in chapter 11, speaking of his people as his children, and he says they don't know that I'm the one who raised them up. I'm the one who held their hand and taught them to walk. I'm the one who stooped down to feed them when they were infants. I'm the one. I'm the parent, and they don't know that anymore. This God saying they don't know. My people perish for lack of knowledge. That they have severed their intimate relationship with me. They don't know me. They don't care about me. They don't care to know my word. That's what he's describing, and that's why he has to act. Okay, verse 14. We'll pick up there next time, and we'll finish this first prophetic oracle when we are together next time. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the word.